afternoon, ICC Con. How are you doing? Good to see you. Let's get a good round of applause going for our next panel. Well, wait a minute for that. I'll do some housekeeping first. So we're about halfway through the day. We've got some great things planned for you for the rest of the day. Coming up after this panel, we have Warwick and Harrison Davis. We have some more Ninja Turtles. We have Kevin Clash and James Saito, who were Splinter and Shredder from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies. And then following that, we have our very first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toy collectors panel at ICC Con. And then after that, we have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Pizza Party with a double feature. So you don't want to miss that, but if you do not want to miss that, you do have to get an extra ticket, so don't forget. So, without any further ado, let me introduce your panel host. If you know him, you probably love him because he's the greatest panel host ICC Con has ever had, Mr. Kevin Lyle.
I will not in any way dispute that, my little friend. These lights are so bright, I keep your camera like this and disappear. How y'all doing, guys?
Have fun, Kevin.
Let's just bring the panel out. Let's bring him out. From the Mandalorian, Grogu, and other Mandalorian properties, Mr. Brendan Ray! I should have brought, we're in Nashville, I should have gotten a, did we cut the, yeah, we go. I should have brought a cowboy hat. It's that, oh man.
Those East Coast guys, they don't know what the West's like.
Did your, where were you born?
In the West.
In the West. Can you?
I was born in Encino, California.
Encino, California, that is technically the South, if you think about it.
Well, I mean, we definitely, when I was growing up, like my sisters rode horses to high school, so we were pretty country.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah. Encino was like, nobody lived out in the valley when I was growing up. It was just us. And we could bring our guns out and shoot, and nobody called the cops, or if they did, they didn't live long. No,
Because obviously who your grandfather is, no one's gonna, you can't stop John Wayne's grandson from shooting guns on account of a horse.
If people knew, and that's how I got back to my mom, the whooping I would have taken, it happened. It was not good. Like, Dad was like, you never put dirt on the name, or you were gonna get put in the dirt.
Okay. And after you were done shooting at cops on horseback, what got you into the entertainment business? I mean, obviously you had one foot maybe in the door, but to get that second.
I did not even begin to go really towards it until I was about 27. And I'd gone to college to play basketball, and I intended to play in the NBA, and then I saw my teammates flying by me, and I went, maybe that's not gonna happen. And I wasn't a huge fan of school in general, which is a terrible thing. I promise you, do not waste time. Get your schooling done. But my mom, she said, hey, listen, you need to do something with your life, son. You need to finish school for me. And I was like, okay. And then she'd gone through, I was the last 8 kids, she'd gone through the 8 of us, and no one had gone to the business, which she didn't want us to be a part of. And I realized at the time I thought it was because she just hated the business. But as a parent now, I realize it's because nobody works. Like, you never have, I mean, even her father went years without working until he became what he was.
The greatest actor in the history of motion pictures.
He became something. He became more, I don't know.
Hold on, is there someone in the room that doesn't know his grandfather's John Wayne? The greatest actor that ever lived? All right, go ahead. I had a feeling everyone knew.
I love the fact of what he means to people more than anything. As an actor watching him, I see all the nuance because I knew who he was in person, which is very different than the stoic kind of guy he always played. He's pretty goofy, to be honest with you. And he was often shirtless, and we were on his boat fishing, so, you know.
Goose.
Yeah, on the Wild Goose. So I didn't really understand that other persona. I watched his movies, I was on sets, but I didn't put the two together till much later. But yeah, and then, so I said, Mom, I want to go get in the biz. And she said, well, you got to go study. And I was like, no, I just want to be an actor, I don't need to study. And she was like, you're so insulting. If you think you can go do any job without learning how to do it, you got another thing coming. And it was the greatest advice I ever got. I went, studied, met my wife, thank God, and then went to USC Film School and did Angel. And this is how I know I'm a pretty good actor, honestly. If you go watch my episode of Angel, I play a genius scientist, and nothing could be further from the truth, and I was really good at it. So that was when I got
There you
the
go.
confidence.
I promise we're gonna get into Star Wars: The Mandalorian. But since we were talking about John Wayne, do you have? And I'll tell you mine if you want. But do you have a favorite John Wayne film?
Film? Oh, I mean, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance is transcendent more than I think anything you'll ever watch, because it's as important today, the message and everything in it, as it was the day it was made. And you would think it would get antithetical, but it isn't. So that's up there. The Cowboys, the Shooters has a special place in my heart, because I know they almost didn't finish it because he was gonna die, and then he said, "No, I gotta finish it." So that one's right up there. But there's a few. But Man Who Shot Liberty Valance is in my top two always. Quiet Man, and if I want to laugh in McClintock, there's nothing better.
Oh, come on, that's a great movie. The fight and that's
the longest fight scene in the history of film for 47 years.
The hell I won't. Is that that one? It's like great. But the funny thing is, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, that's the second time this weekend that movie was brought up. I asked one of the earlier celebrities yesterday, what's their favorite movie? And they mentioned The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. It was Roger Christian, the guy who built the first lightsaber.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was sitting right there, and he said that was his favorite.
Sit down and talk.
And then he was talking about Jimmy Stewart was so great, and I said, Jimmy Stewart did not shoot Liberty Valance.
Nope.
John Wayne shot Liberty Valance.
But I mean, who was Liberty Valance? Like, that cat was off the chart.
That was Lee Marvin, right? Yeah.
Marvin, you got Lee.
Great friend of John Wayne's.
You got, yeah. They were great. They were great, yeah.
I'll just say my favorite John Wayne is The Searchers. Greatest cowboy film of all time. If you have not seen it, shame on you, and go see it this week, okay? Everyone's gonna see it? Yeah. All right, cool. Now, let's
You know the episode, that's a good segue. In The Mandalorian,
there we
where Mando and O'Mara meet, there's a moment where he might stay and be with this woman. That whole thing, if you watch at the end, I'm on the hut where I was like staying and eating, that little room she gave me. I'm in the doorway just like my grandfather was at the end of The Searchers, standing with my arm right here and not going in, because I know I gotta go roam the world and be the nomad that Mando is. And it was an ode to my grandfather.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
That's a great, so here we go, we're into The Mandalorian. So how did that, you're an actor for a number of years, and what was the first contact with Lucasfilm to get that part?
So, I mean, I'd done parts in Sons of Anarchy, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
You did Sons of Anarchy?
Yeah.
You know, I worked on that show. I do the jewelry and stuff like that. I worked at the jewelry license company that we made the jewelry for that.
Oh, that's, I did
So
not know.
I knew most of the, I watched the show, and I'm sorry, I feel...
No, it wasn't on that long. But I wanted to be on that show more than anything. And it was the last season, and I'd gone in probably for 10 different roles and did not get them. I got in and got to get shot by a shotgun by Mark Boone Jr., who later on plays Bill Burr episode. And I worked half a day in the helmet. I generally lived it like I was Mandalorian on set, so I didn't take my helmet off. And sure enough, I pop it off and I look at him and I go, "What's up, Boone?" And he was like, "Holy, that's you, my God, oh my God." It was hilarious.
That's Bobby Elvis from Sons of Anarchy. You ever go out with those guys? They're great, the cast.
No, they're insane.
They are wild, man. They're great guys.
They're insane. So I'd done Cowboys and Aliens with John. And I just was crazy enough to do some stuff. Like, honestly, I know I was, what do you call it? They titled me as a stuntman in the first season, but I'm not stunts, and if I am, they owe me a lot of money, because they haven't paid me for one yet. But growing up John Wayne, as I call it, people just assume you kind of do your own stunts, even though his stuntman won an Academy Award. But anyway, I'm out doing Cowboys and Aliens with John, and I do I do a double backflip off a horse 70 feet in the air. And that's what John remembers. I thought my acting was a lot better, but he remembers that.
Just to refresh my memories, Jon Favreau directed?
Oh yeah, Jon Favreau
directed
Cowboys and Aliens. And Daniel Craig was in it, Harrison Ford. Anyway, so I was 10 years before, almost 10 years, when we did that. I was like, I'm never gonna get a job with this guy because that movie flopped. And then I get a call, my agent's like, hey, can you go try on this costume? I was like, nope, not gonna do it. And he's like, what? I'm like, I gotta work tonight. He goes, no, they'll pay you. I'm like, okay. He goes, you gotta sign an NDA. I'm like, bro, you're killing me right now. All right, yeah, I go over. I walk in, and I'm like, hey, that's the Terminator. Wait, that's from Avatar. And I mean like life-size, bigger than me things. I'm like, what am I trying on? I go in, they open the door, they flip open this case, and I'm like, Boba Fett. I'm trying, this is Boba Fett. They're like, no, it's not. And they're so insulted.
I mean, even if the first time I ever saw that, I looked like it's Boba
Come
Fett.
on! Either that or an old Pinto I had that was brown like that. But I digress. So I keep saying it, and they're so annoyed at me. I'm like, I signed the NDA. I'm not going to tell anybody. Meanwhile, I'm like taking a picture every time they walk out of the room. So they put me in this thing, and I'm listening to them. They're talking as if I'm not there, which is very Hollywood. Like, you know, they don't know if you're even hired yet for anything. So they don't give you the time of day, but people will just talk to you if you're quiet, talk in front of you, and you can learn a lot if you listen. So I hear them talking, they're like, well, the other guy was 6'5". This whole thing, and they're putting me in this suit that was made for a guy who was 6'5". And it fits. It's the craziest thing ever. It's a little long here, and actually pretty good on the arms. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. They pull out the helmet, and I'm like, well, that's good. And they're like, wait, you like this? And apparently, 6 months before, they had hired a guy. It was actually the guy who stunts as Batman. Did it all for like Ben Affleck and everything. He's a 6'5" guy. He's actually worked on the show with me and one of my great friends, Rich Citron. But he was hired. And then they realized they needed an actor inside the suit. And that's where I came in. But I didn't know any of that, so I just tried it on, and they took a bunch of pictures that looked really cool, and I had the helmet on, and they're like, how does it work? And I'm like, this is great. And they're like, wait, the helmet fits? I'm like, yeah, it's great. Luckily, Rich was really thin, and so things kind of worked in my favor. I promise you, had they had to redo the whole thing, really, I wouldn't have gotten it, because they don't like to spend money. So I was like 2.5 weeks before my daughter goes to college, my oldest daughter. And it's important that I say this because Hollywood doesn't hurry for anybody. So I don't get a call for anything, so I figured it was just a try on. I made $250, it's pretty crazy. I'm good. Bartending still, oh, there I am. Sure enough, I get a call 3 days before I'm taking off to take my kid to college. Right after, they're like, hey, next week we need you to come in and do a screen test with Favreau and Filoni. And I go, no. My agent's like, what? I'm like, I'm not doing it, bro. I got to take my kid to college. And they're like, could you go later? And I'm like, no. Unlike marriage and everything else in this world, this is only going to happen once. I'm taking my daughter to college, and I want to make sure every one of those boys at school sees me. Plus, it was in Boston, and I'm an LA guy.
Oh, those
So,
East Coast people. Those New Englanders,
but
right?
more-
You hate New Englanders.
It's Boston, and it's that Celtic green stuff that makes me want to vomit. So and I mean that, like I totally had this idea. Mind you, I went, and Boston was amazing. The people were amazing. My daughter had a great 4 years. I couldn't say enough good things. It hurts me to say that, but I couldn't. But, so I say, no, I'm not going. And they're like, what? And so, like 6 hours later, they call back, hey, what if we fly you back early? I go, no. I can't even afford to fly there. Like, I'm not coming back. They're like, no, we'll pay for it. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm not shortchanging my kid. So, 24 hours later after that, I think we're on the day before I leave. Or no, 2 days before I leave. They said, hey, tomorrow, can you come in for the screen test? Everybody their schedule around. You have to do this. My agent's like, if you don't do this, I'm going to drop you. So I was like, all right, hey, I'll be here, I'm good. So I walk in and I have the costume and they made some adjustments. I'm a size 10. They hand me size 12. I don't know why. So I don't tell them, I don't care. I'll make it work. I walk in the costume and one of the guys who made the costumes walking with me, I'm like, you gotta drop this gun. You can't be so high. I do not have the job, mind you. I'm just walking in like I own the place. And I'm like, yeah, drop this gun, because if I go up here for my gun, everyone's gonna see my elbow move, and if he's worth his salt, he's gonna shoot me dead. Like, I'm not gonna be the gunslinger. You have to make it so that I can stand there and do that. And it's that simple. If I go, everybody knows I'm gonna shoot. Like, it's the stupidest thing ever. So they're like, we just won't shoot it. I'm like, I'd rather see long shots of Mando. And who am I? I'm talking to Jon Favreau. Like, I'm like, no, I want to see long shots of this guy. What? I don't know. So I go through this thing, and at one point he goes, you're really making a meal of your walk. And I go, oh, I'm in size 12, so I'm a 10. He's like, why didn't you say anything? I said, because I don't complain, I make it work. And that was it. Like, I did the acting and everything later, but that was it. That was what got John. Because he understood from Iron Man that it was going to take somebody who this was, the challenge was the joy of it. And it really is, Mando's been the challenge. So I took my kid, I did that, took my kid to college, got a call while I was there, said, hey, you got a job, and you're going to have to sign a contract every single day you walk through those doors in order to have that job. We weren't going to give you any guarantees. So every day you walk in, you sign a contract. And if they don't want you, then they just won't call you back the next day. And that's how I worked for the first 2 seasons.
You have a day-long contract?
Daily contracts, and which is unheard. Like, I mean, I had 1 day off in season 1. There was only 1 day I was in that. And you can guess which day that was, I'm pretty sure. And so, to me, I mean, like, that was, I didn't mind it. Like, I was still making more money. I was bartending. I didn't trust Hollywood at all, so I never stopped bartending. So I worked 7 days a week. I worked, Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights. I get off my, we averaged 15 hours a day shooting on Mando. So I don't even know what the rest of the crew, they were there for 20 hours. We did overtime every single day. And then I'd go bartend because I had a kid in college, so somebody had to feed her. But yeah, that was it. And same thing with season 2, which I thought might have a little more job security. And then I died a couple times and made it back to set. And they were like, you still gotta sign a contract. So I did. And I played that season with a hole in my gut about that big. Just wrapped it every day. Luckily, I did not get septic again.
That's very interesting. It's very similar to how Jeremy Bullock got Boba Fett. He fit in the costume. His brother-in-law, his half-brother, was the associate producer, Robert Watts.
Yes.
From Empire Strikes
Yes,
Back.
that's right.
Saw the costume and said, you know what, my brother can fit in that. And they called Jeremy in. They said, the suit works, you can have it. And put it on, fit him perfectly, and he's Boba Fett.
And the casualness of him in the suit, it did fit him in some weird way. I think that story kind of coincides with it, with my experience, which is, it just fit. And when you watched Boba, like when I watched Boba, I hated him. I was so mad at him. But I had older brothers, so when we played Star Wars, I didn't get Han or Luke. I got Boba. He was the last one there. They were like, I don't want a bad guy who made me angry for 3 years because I didn't know what happened to Han Solo. So he became my guy. And so I told a whole different story. I gave him a whole different backstory. But I fit in the suit. And then I fell in love in the suit and the freedom of it, of having the mask. And, growing up, John, man, you can compare yourself. I didn't do it a lot. There was a lot of differences because he's 6'5", 260. So I could immediately kind of disassociate. But there are some things that you want to be able to carry, but you don't want to look like you're trying too hard. And part of that is the presence and being in a room and just people people feeling it. And that's what Mando gave me. Whether it was how they used the camera or the setting they put me in, it didn't matter. Like it was a very cool relationship with my grandfather when I was within that suit. And his economy of movement was what fed me. And so I studied what he studied, which was kabuki, which is a Japanese art with a mask on, so you can't do all this stuff that I do normally. And then you had to figure out how to make, it work. And then you go, oh wait, wearing a helmet's no different than wearing a cowboy hat. And I pretty much wore a cowboy hat 20 hours of every day. So all of a sudden you realize, oh, you gotta turn your head a little, and you learn these little things that when you're on a horse, you don't make big movements, because you want your horse to spook or anything. So those kind of things translated really well to Mando.
Is it hard to see out of that thing?
Yeah. I mean,
They all say.
it's like this, but that was the fun challenge for me. I didn't go down. I might have gone down during the movie once, just recently, but I didn't go down. Lateef, now he has a harder job in a lot of ways. Part of it being the fact that he has dreads, and Lateef Crowder is my
How does he
stunt
fit
man.
that in there?
Dude, they used to screw his hair like this, and then wrap it with something, and then, I mean like literally like people putting their forearms on it, pushing it down, and then they chin strapped him. And his face is like this, and the guy can't see because everything he does requires him to be punching or some capoeira move, and he couldn't see anything. He ran into walls. Like he lost the baby once and was like, mother, in the scene you could I wish they would, it wasn't so Disney because it is so funny. He's trying to jump in that buckboard when Carl corners us and we start that big street fight in season 1. And he's trying to jump, first of all, he didn't try, he could. From a standstill, his thing was here, and he had to hold the baby. They asked me, hey, can you jump in there? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, no. You can't run up, you gotta jump from here with your rifle and the baby. So I was like, Lateef. And sure enough, man, he goes, and you can see the kid going, and it's like, that was the cheaper one, so it was only about 10 grand, and you just saw it going, and he's MF, I lost the kid, and the legacy guys who built it, who built our costume, are literally all like this. That's when slow motion really did happen in real life. And it was so funny. When he's blowing up buildings in Sorgon, and he tells Gina, Cara Dune, he's like, go, go, go. And she goes because he blew up the whole, and he was memorizing where everything was because he couldn't see, it was so hot. And he turns and runs, and he is at full speed, and he missed the door and hit that wall. Oh my God, I was so happy it wasn't me.
He's great. We were in Dallas last summer, and I think he did this jumping kick thing in front of my booth just happened to be there. He was showing somebody something, and did it right in front of him. Like, wow.
Yeah, and he's not, it's not like he's 20. This dude is a master capoeira, and he does this stuff. It's unreal. Like it's still to this day.
Do you have a favorite Mandalorian scene? A scene of your character from the series?
I mean,
or if you want, you can talk about the movie, but we'll go back to that in a couple of minutes.
We can talk about the movie.
No, we'll go to
What are they gonna do? Fire me?
Yeah, it's not like you're signing a contract.
Yeah. Oh, mother.
You have favorite
I
scene?
have favorite scenes or episodes too, because of moments. Anything with Carl now means everything because he was my mentor on that show. It was the first time I'd been a lead of a show, and you hear the rules of what you should do, but really, they have this thing called a call sheet, and it's everybody who's in the on the acting side, in the show, and it numbers it, and if you're number 1, it's a big deal. Well, I knew it wasn't a big deal. I was number 1, and it didn't matter to me because I knew nothing I did individually was ever going to matter. That we had to do something as a group. And I knew that just from life, like there's nothing you ever done alone. I don't care if you were alone, there was somebody there with you. And so Carl gave me some ground rules. And it's like, don't let them run you over. This crew is going to be with you every day, so you treat them like family. I don't care if you're having the worst day of your life. You smile at them, you shake their hand because you have no idea. All I would have to do is ask for someone to go do something for me, which I'm not akin to, but I could and they would. Whereas these guys had to be there. If their kid had pneumonia, they had to come to work because how are you going to pay for it? So I learned from Carl some of the greatest lessons. So anything you see with Carl, one of the things that I do love, and it sounds terrible, God rest in peace, is I love the fact that I shot to kill Grief Karga. Mando, you know, everyone seems to come back to life, but it's not. It was never intended that way. And so when Mando shoots Grief, when he gets ambushed in the Razor Crest, the only reason it doesn't go through his heart is because the Beskar caught it, and that's it. But for me, that was a good turning point for Mando because he was supposed to be robotic and less soulful in the beginning, and the kid kind of teaches him to find these moments, and that was a great example of who Mando was for me on set and in thing. And that's a great one for me. Another one that still gives me goosebumps is when Katie and I are in season 3, and we're at the end of the ship, and she's questioning whether she could lead, or Bo-Katan, whether she could lead Mandalore, if she's fit for it. And I tell her, you know, I will follow you till your song is sung. And I didn't want to leave her hanging on the end of the boat, you know. It was a big moment for her character. And the connection that we had in that moment was akin to a lot of things, overcoming things with family and friends in real life, and it was really nice. And it just felt great. So yeah, those are two that I go with.
Now, are you saying when Djin Djarin shot Grief Karga, he knew those plates were there, right?
No. He shot him to kill him.
Oh, I thought he knew.
Nope.
I thought he shot him to knock him down.
Nope. Because Djin was mean.
What?
Djin was mean. He wasn't, you know, he was always intended to be more like Tom Donovan in The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance than Tom Berenger in The Rustler's Rhapsody. You know, he wasn't the white-hatted cowboy. He was a cowboy, and that means you're neither good nor bad. It depends on the moment. And Mando, being in the Western theme, is whether he does it good, does a good thing or a bad thing, depends on the situation and the greater good. And that's what he's constantly finding, is how does he service the greater good? And he's learned.
And one scene, my favorite scene, if I can imply, I know we talk a little about it because you're in it, is the scene where Luke Skywalker shows up.
Oh man, it is me.
And what?
From behind.
Yeah. So, what did you know on the day? What were your reactions?
And the funny thing was they really were so like cheeky about it, and you know, like I'm the only guy who doesn't tell the truth. Like I never burn you guys. Why would you tell me this? And they were trying to keep it from all of us. And I just saw him and was like, hey, how are you, man? You good? Like everybody else saw him when he walked in, and it literally was like one of those things where you were like, we're gonna have to do this take again because, you know, everyone went on set, and I was like, dude, you guys can't do that. It's like, that was a great moment. But yeah, I mean, come on. For me, I love him as Luke, and there's no doubt. But Annie Potts and him in Corvette Summer, I'm sorry, maybe
Potts and Corvette.
Come on, like, for me, that was more important at the time. And I told him, he was like, wow, we didn't do any sequels on that one. I was like, I was like, I loved you when you were inside the Tauntaun. It was great, it was fine.
That was such a great, I love that scene where you just
slice it. Oh, that's the best. Yeah.
So, it's just great talking to you, but I gotta let them ask some questions.
Yeah, let's go.
I can sit here and talk to you for the rest of the night. But, Longwater, you out there?
Yes, I'm here. Should we start up at the front?
Yeah, that's enough. Back to me asking.
Yep. Let's come down here.
All right, so I've always wondered.
Hey, that's a nice sweatshirt.
Thank you.
I work with you guys. Know you guys can get these here. These are really great.
Really?
Absolutely amazing. I have one.
Hey, Brendan, where can you get one of those?
I'm right inside. Just come on in and see me, and I'll point you in the right direction.
Jesse, let everyone see it. And Mike, for the record, he brought this up. When Mike watches this video later.
All right, so with Pedro doing the voice,
Yeah.
do you just act in silence with people talking around you, or do you actually memorize the lines?
No. I mean, I'm fully. You can't, because there is. Even if we're not saying what we really mean, there's an intention that comes in those moments physically that you couldn't do without saying it. And then, let alone for, like, Ming-Na or Carl or Tim or anybody who you're, acting with, if you're just sitting there going, and they're saying their lines, it's weird. They've tried to, like, use his voice while I was in the suit for the scene, and it's less than effective. It's a little tough.
David Prowse is the same way. You can see old footage of him doing Darth Vader.
Yeah.
He's saying every single line that will eventually become James Earl Jones. And James Earl Jones probably used his tempo and the speed he was
Wait,
doing.
have you ever heard David Prowse's voice?
Oh yeah, I've interviewed him.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no. I think James Earl Jones' voice was the right one. That's not to say that, I should be the voice, but I will say simply that we have a similar cadence. He's incredibly talented and finds the right cadence to fill those moments. I watch with the volume down, but I have heard it. So, yeah.
All right, Longwater, where you at?
All right, got one more here in the front row.
So my favorite episode of The Mandalorian is season 2, episode 1, with Cobb Vanth, and we see the Boba Fett armor for the first time in so long, and Timothy Olyphant being Cobb Vanth. I just wanted to know your working on that episode, your experiences.
Okay, so first of all, that episode specifically was starting, and I had 42 days in a hospital in season 2 because I ripped open an intestine, which was not fun. But I was supposed to take a month and a half off when I got out of the hospital, about 142 pounds. But I knew Timothy was on set and working. And so 10 days after I got out of the hospital, with a gaping wound, I ran to set like a fanboy. Okay, I didn't run, I was pretty crippled. But every day I'd be like, can I go yet? They're like, no. And then I just got in the car and went. And it was as cool as you would imagine. And he is as regular a human being as you would hope for. Somebody that cool, Timothy Olyphant, that's pretty cool stuff. And then, meeting Tim, but for me it was getting down there with Timothy and seeing that suit that brought me to the Mandalorian. It was really cool. I was very fortunate. It was a dream come true for me, and he was so gracious. I don't think he probably even realized that I'm sitting. And I admit, let's be clear. Me and John Wayne's grandson, I sat on a guy named Ronnie's lap and ate his jelly beans, and then later found out that I was with the president. I've been around. I don't get starstruck.
You sat on Ronald Reagan's lap eating jelly beans?
Uncle Ronnie.
You, sir, are the coolest person I've ever interviewed.
At the Resolute desk. At the Resolute desk. Literally.
At the Resolute desk? That's the desk in the Oval Office.
Just, eating jelly beans. And I had no clue, but I get excited about, I still get, meeting Carl Weathers. I was like, dude, you're the first time I cried in front of my friends. Come on.
I interviewed him once at a Rocky panel with Drago.
Oh, yeah.
And the next day, he was announced for being a Star Wars. I'm like,
why didn't we know?
Yes. He knew I was a Star Wars artist, and he
yeah.
didn't say a thing. Did not a word.
That's hilarious.
Longwater, you got another question out there?
Yeah, coming right down here in the front on this side.
Yeah, the funny-looking guy in the blue shirt.
There we go.
He's a friend of mine. We did some.
He's a friend of mine.
Absolutely. Brandon, first of all, love everything that you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
But I got a question. Since you said you was a bartender, what is your favorite drink to make, and which one is your that everybody likes?
Blender. Don't order a blender drink unless you want spit, fingernail, dirt. No, I never did that. But I hate blender because when you're busy and you gotta go and blend, it's like I'm a bartender, not a barista. Scotch. That's what I like to make. 1 cube, and we're good. I guess also, if I have to make a drink, old-fashioned. Yeah. Traditional old-fashioned. Like, some good Duke bourbon in there.
Do you know every time you speak, you become the coolest person I've ever met? So,
It's like, now he's an
John
alcoholic.
Wayne,
This is great.
Uncle Ronnie, Scotch.
Let's go. Scotch is it. Me and one of the Gamorrean guards have a fast rule. My daughter, my girl's Uncle Frank Trigg comes over. And Frank is a former UFC Hall of Fame fighter who played one of the Gamorrean guards during my tenure on The Mandalorian. And I'd seen 3 of his fights, so when I saw him on set, I was like, hey, buddy. And now he's Uncle Frank to my kids. And we have a rule because we love Scotch. And this is stupidest rule. If we open a bottle, we have to finish that bottle.
Amen.
Oh boy.
I don't know how you're going to top yourself unless you're going to pay my mortgage next month. So, do we have Longwater, you got another question?
Let's see.
You're not very good at this, Dave.
I like to walk. You like to run me around this place. I'm going to squeak over here.
First off, I'd like to say my grandfather was a giant fan of John Wayne. I watched all of his movies with him when I was a kid. So, a little surreal. And secondly, if Djin Djarin could have a shootout with any other Star Wars character, who would it be?
I mean, beyond Johnny Ringo in The Jedi, I got to, have a shootout with Johnny Ringo. Like, that was one of the first things Dave did when I came out of the hospital was like, hey, I'm pushing my whole episode because you need to play this guy. There's no one else who can play him, and this is you. And I got to be there for Ahsoka and everything, and Diana, Lee and Santo, but facing off with Johnny Ringo, it was epic. And we really did have a draw. Dave swears that he got his gun up. He said he may have gotten it up, but it wasn't aimed. Mine was. And we break it down. It's hilarious. Filoni and I have a big rivalry.
So, Long, we got one more question, or are you bringing out your little friends again?
We can ask one more question here. I got one right here.
I'll get you.
What's
happening?
We met earlier.
Yeah.
When you were growing up, was there another Star Wars character that you would consider your favorite besides Boba Fett?
No, I would say the land speeder was my favorite. Honestly, I wanted a land speeder. My buddy had one. I had a relationship to the items in there. The guns, obviously. So the apple didn't fall far from the tree there. But for me, it was like even the it's not a jetpack. Even the Boba's jetpack. His gun, it was like a sawed-off shotgun. That was kind of like a Gatling gun. When I was a kid, that's how I looked at it. So it was more about the accessories. So Mando's an accessory guy. And you can see it in his daily. Who knew? I was fit for this role a long time ago, apparently.
Weapons are my religion. And when he's in that case, he's dropping all.
Oh,
Go back again. Suspended.
Mr. Wade. Mr. Wade, how are you doing today?
Amazing. Thank you for having me here, by the way, Tennessee. I do want to say thank you. I've been to Knoxville, and now I've been to Nashville and Murfreesboro. Absolutely amazing. My daughter is looking at Vanderbilt, and I give her my seal of approval for that one. So I'm doing great. Thank you.
So we have a Defender Detachment, and on behalf of the Defender Detachment, we would like to induct you as an honorary member for all of the work you do in the Star Wars community.
That's awesome. This means a lot to me, but I'm gonna just push this away. This is great, and I get paid for what I do, and I love what I do, and I'm very lucky to be the guy in the suit, and I earn it every time I'm in it, so I don't, I'm not poo-pooing it, but what you all do is well beyond the pale of what I do, and way more important, and I want you to have the respite, watch that show for an hour, 45 minutes, or sometimes they were like 28 minutes, and I get it, it's a good place, you can go have some fun, and I love that it attaches, it connects generations from grandparents to kids now again. I hear it a lot, it means a lot to me, but I'm gonna tell you right now, as a father, as somebody whose father served, as somebody who loves his community and tries to give back wherever he can in his local community especially, you all mean more to me every day. I don't care if you're here or in LA, please come to LA. You guys do more to make this place livable, lovable, and worthy of fighting for. So I thank you more than anything. Thank you.
So that's the Defenders Detachment. Just to let you guys know, don't know who they are. They're all veterans, first responders, police officers, firefighters, and welcome.
And dog lovers.
So we have time for just one more question, which is gonna be mine. No, it's gonna. Oh,
No,
okay,
we
fine.
got two questions.
Better be quick too.
Right here. You're the second.
Okay.
I can't believe nobody's asked about this.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen right now.
I just want to know how a 10-year-old wrecks a car.
So clearly she was at my table, and I might have crashed a car when I was 10. You know what? I didn't know the rule that when you're going into a spin, you turn into it. So I turned away from it. And next thing you know, I was in my neighbor's fence and then part of their pool and a tree. But the good thing was I did try to cover it up. Like me, my buddy, when he got his dad's truck, he was 11, so it was okay. He pulled it out. That didn't go over well.
The number one thing to do at a convention, at a panel, as opposed to not to make it about themselves when they have to. I got you beat. I wrecked a car when I was 4 years old.
What?
My mother got out of the car to get something, and I jumped in the front seat, put the car in reverse, went down the hill, about 100 feet, smashed into a tree.
That's pretty solid. That's solid. That's good. That's good.
Probably the record.
That's solid. That's solid.
So he just whispered to me while this was going on. He's like, "I'm surprised no one asked about the movie. You know why? Because they're all being respectful." And we just had Katie Sackhoff, and she's like, "Oh, I don't know anything about it. I'm not going to say anything. La 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 la. What can you tell us? What can you give
You
us?"
gotta do better than that. I mean, honestly, you guys. Like,
No, they're being respectful. I
Who
think.
has seen anything? Has anybody seen anything about the movie? Yeah, have you seen the I haven't even seen it.
I was in Japan, where I got this
Okay.
awesome shirt from DJ Elliott, by the way.
So what'd you see in that trailer? Who did you see?
Oh, I'm too scared of Lucasfilm to say what I saw in the trailer.
What? Who was on stage?
We saw a photograph of Sigourney Weaver. She's not in the trailer.
But okay, who was on stage?
Pedro.
Sigourney Weaver, Ripley.
Grover.
I mean, let's be real right now. Like, if we're gonna, and we know Zeb's in it because we saw the little teaser and everything. It's they put that out there. I'm allowed to say that. I didn't tell you anything. But Sigourney, I mean, for me, like, you want to talk about what's the next thing that you're going to be talking about when someone says, "Hey, what was the coolest thing?" Is walking in and having Sigourney Weaver look at you and go, "You're I've ever seen. And I literally was like, me? I'm like, you're Ripley. She's like, no, me and Walter Hill and James Cameron were discussing this at dinner the other night, and we were talking about you and how great you are inside that suit. And you know,
Avatar 5.
I mean, and they were filming that while they were filming the other Avatar while we were doing.
That's what I said. They're doing Avatar 3 and 4. Yes. You're in for.
And so I'm looking at, you know, again, not starstruck very often, but I'm like, Ms. Weaver, she goes, Sigourney, we're gonna work together. I was like, okay, Sigourney, I gotta tell you honestly, like, when I think of fierce, tough characters that I want to embody, that don't waste anything when they're on the screen, you're one of them. Your character, and from that moment on, we just sat down and we discussed this. And she talked to me like her contemporary, which I guess I am, but like, it's Sigourney Weaver. I'm like, you're out of your mind. So that part of the movie, that's gonna be really good.
That was a great deflection. Come on, we want spoilers. Let's go, man. Can you give us anything? What's her character's name? What's her character's name? How about this? Do you know it? Of course you do.
That's a good question.
You don't know it.
I do, but I don't.
Is it a hard
No. That's a really good question. I can't think of it, honestly. I cannot. I know it because I can see it in the script. That's so interesting.
Can you give us any little tips? Anything?
Yeah, I'm really good at it.
It's really good, really good. All right. So this has been a great panel, and right now, if I'm looking at it, I'm getting the call off to answer. This is the longest panel we've ever done at ICCC, ranking in at 49 minutes.
Hey, here we go.
Thank you so much for coming.
Visit me, and I'll tell you stories. You don't have to find an autograph. I'll tell you whatever you want to hear.
So you're going to be here all weekend until through tomorrow?
I'm here through tomorrow. Absolutely. I'm super stoked about this. I wish I could have come in October, but we extended filming, so I couldn't. I'm glad I could make it this time.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Brandon Wayne.
Thank you, guys.